Hello, this is Patrick Ash, author, guitarist, and elder millennial pissant. Please see the link to my books below if you are looking for Zombie Apocalypse, highly reviewed, featured by Kirkus. Today, we are reviewing the ESP LTD SN-1000, specifically this, what they call sandblasted purple burst. It's called sandblasted, is an SN-1000. I thought that's what that meant, but apparently refers to it snapper. And then so they have other finishes and whatnot. And for those of you who are Weird Al fans, maybe you know UHF, purple snapper, very tasty. Textured wood grain throughout. Very, very, very cool. I think I first saw it on like the Gibson Voodoo series, and those are really cool, but they're also very expensive. And so this in this price range, I actually wanted to argue in this video that this may very well be one of, if not the best guitars in this price range. So we'll do some sound samples and then reasons why. All right, here's Clean. Coil tap for Single. Some chords on Humbucker. On the neck pickup, which is the Seymour Duncan Sentient. This is the middle position. Let me start. That was Humbucker, single coil. Coil split rather. Now the bridge pickup, which is a Seymour Duncan Pegasus. Add some modulation, the Electro-Harmonix Memory Man Deluxe for the delay, and the Analog Man Chorus, which is based off the small clone. All right, let's try out some dirt. I've got the Wampler Pinnacle Deluxe, which is like a brown sound, Eddie Van Halen kind of thing, and the Vic Audio Tree of Life Overdrive. Let's start on the bridge pickup on the Pegasus. So you start to rock out, you bring the cats out. All right, let me try. That is the Pegasus. Let's switch to the Sentient neck. Sorry, I'm being sloppy as usual. Interesting there. Those are the 17th to 22nd frets are scalloped, which makes it for some easy bends. All right, yes, this is the ESP LTD SN-1000, specifically this sandblasted purple burst. And yes, Molly, you can be in the review as well. And yeah, I get a few minutes a night, so figure I'd do this. I'm not video blogging anymore. I'm just talking about guitar gear. So yeah, so overall, I'm very impressed with this instrument. You know, if you follow me, I've done lots of reviews on Fender Stratocasters, about, you know, 1,000 give or take. Even some cheaper ones like this IYV, just a few $100. But also like the Gibson Les Paul Tribute and other Les Pauls, you know, if you can find a good deal on them. But as far as like brand new guitars go that are roughly in the $1,000 range, and if you know, look around for deals, discounts and B-stock and that kind of thing, you can get a good deal. Anyway, for that, I feel like it's just loaded with features. So there's the finish. I think is just very super cool. It's very nice and rough in a good way. And if you are familiar with firearms and kind of like shooting sports, that kind of thing, then you know kind of how important grip texture can be. You know, guitars tend to have gloss or, you know, satin, and that can kind of very easily move around. So this is a little bit more, it's got a little bit more of a grip to it. Indentations that kind of make it easier to stay close. So it's also string through body. I've played lots of these before, but I don't think I've ever owned one. I've owned some 30 guitars, and I've played like hundreds at different shops and with friends and all. But so yeah, what other feature? I mean, you can look up the specs, but it does have that finish. It has those Seymour Duncan pickups, and take this from me, I'm a DiMarzio fanboy, all right? And I like Mototone, like the Tomahawk on this. Love that neck pickup. I love the kind of more budget but excellent sounding Tone Rider pickups like I have on IYV. Those Almaco 2s are amazing. They have like Gary Moore type sound. But yeah, I'm a mostly DiMarzio fanboy. I've got the Evo 2 here. I've played, God, I mean, 20 or 30 different DiMarzios. Have them on my other Strat. And anyway, yeah, of course, all the Steve Vai gems and other guitars. But most Seymour Duncans, when I've played them, have usually sounded a little too muddy or too midi. Maybe it has more of the, like the low mids. When friends have had guitars, and I think I've played like the JV Blues and the Invader and Nazgul, which is understandable if you're doing like really, really crunchy metal stuff. What else? I'm kind of blanking. I like the YJM Fury pickups, which I really like to clean, but not so much with distortion. So I tried a bunch, and I kind of have written off the brand. It's like, okay, it's one of those like Pepsi Coke things. You know, are you more DiMarzio or Seymour Duncan? I think I still am more DiMarzio, but I really love these pickups. Like the balance, I think is fantastic. Especially like the cleans are very pristine, great note definition. Like when I've been frustrated with Seymour Duncan before, like when I hear one of my favorite players, like David Gilmour, of course, of Pink Floyd, when he switched to Duncans, and then Impu Vorinian from Nightwish. I could call me crazy, but I could tell like when he switched, because I'm like, that pick attack, that's just too noticeable, and it's thick underneath. Like that sounds like Seymour Duncan. Of course it was. So, and I do think on the distortion, it sounds a little bit too trebly. Even these do. So, but I think with a few tweaks, it can get there. Again, I know I'm playing sloppy. It's late at night. I take what time I can take to do these reviews, but all right. So those are the pickups, and of course, it has the scallops, which make very, very easy bends. and it is on a roasted maple neck, which helps with tune stability and just more stable overall. And with stainless steel frets, which of course will last a very long time. It does have a kind of like a brighter acoustic sound. Um, but it's nice. It's very resonant. Like, I like the sound. I think it's just a touch brighter than a lot of nickel frets, and but they'll last forever. And I think like the EVH guitars are doing that as a standard. But it also has, of course, locking tuners, which are standard on many guitars in this price range, but not all. It just makes string changes nice and easy. I think it holds pretty well. But the one area, I'll start getting into cons here. The one area looks like they cheaped out a bit is the nut. Because this looks like just a basic plastic nut. And it feels like it slips out of tune pretty easy on the E, B, and G strings. So fortunately, doing a nut replacement is relatively easy DIY job. I prefer Graphtec nuts. I think they're somewhat standard, and like Gibson's starting to put them on a bunch of guitars. And so, yeah, just make sure you get a good measurement with, like, if, you have some basic tool like this to, get the millimeters or very precise inch measurement, and go to Graphtec. And anyway, relatively easy to remove. You score it up a bit with like a razor blade, and then use like a thick block of some kind with like a polish cloth. All right, so that's one thing. The other thing is the back of the neck. It's got a little bit of a, like, little bits, well, maybe bits of wood, maybe, and maybe that can be solved with a high grit sandpaper or just a basic polish. I haven't tried yet, but it just has lots of little bits of, I think it's wood, but anyway, and I think the pick guard works pretty well overall. It seems like there's a good cavity here for resonance. The knobs look a touch cheap, but they work. So can't complain too much there. I think the three-way switch makes sense for this kind of hard rock, heavy metal, which I think most people using this guitar would probably play. At first I thought this back plate was plastic. It looked just very, like the sheen, it just, I was like, oh, it looks like it might be, and maybe it is, but I pulled out a stud finder, and of course, slips right off the guitar. It kind of strap knob, but sticks to the neck as the truss rod. It kind of slides off if you put it on the side. But I don't know if it's the 4 bolts, but this seems to very easily snap on. So maybe it's kind of like aluminum or something. Aluminum's not, doesn't have like the ferrous magnet, so some other kind of basic metal. So yeah, so please let me know if you have any questions. I do think this is an excellent guitar. So many features at this price point. It's very impressive. I like the neck shape. If you follow me, it's another thing I like. I played at ESPs, LTDs in the past I didn't love because they were like, felt too, kind of like issues I have with Ibanez. They're too thin or just not very ergonomic. This one's a little bit more like a Fender C shape. So that's nice and ergonomic. It's got a bit of volute here of sorts. I also think it just has a cool basic headstock. It's got a nice look to it, in my opinion. And again, I just love this finish. Feels great, looks great. See if you can find one that, apparently they've been discontinued. They were made from 2020 to 2024. I think this is 2023. And with a few variations of how they did like the logo up here. And I think the previous nuts were white. But I think that was like up until 23. But yeah, there's a few still out there. I think there's one on Sweetwater, a few on Reverb and eBay. But I think they are still making like a Silververse kind of color, and there's another one that's kind of like sunset orangish, kind of blood orange kind of look. So you may prefer those. I'm really glad I got this one. Let me know if you have any questions. I think it's an excellent buy, and I'm just thoroughly impressed, and I haven't been putting it down since I got it. yesterday. All right, take care.